oftentimes I like to say every conservative accusation is actually a confession. I didn't make this phrase, I didn't make it up, but I do like saying it because I agree with it. I think that very often when conservatives are, going out of their way to attack people for living their lives, despite them living their lives not hurting anybody or them at all, people who put so much time, effort, and thought into going after people, throwing unfounded accusations at them, for no real reason, how the right does to gay people, for example. I've always thought of it as being a clear indication of projection. And a lot of people are like, oh, you can't say that. You can't say that. Can't be that. Oh, you can't go with that. Not as much anymore. That used to be the kind of response I'd get back like a year ago. But now with the right basically just deciding they're pedo-jacketing all gay people and all LGBT people at this point, firing back with, oh yeah, well, don't throw stones from glass houses has become a much more prescient response to these people who like to claim that LGBT people are somehow groomers or predators for existing. So, with that said, I want to tell you guys a story in 2 parts. Okay? Here, we have a lady named the Melissa Duran. Obviously, that is an at. I don't believe that the is the beginning of her name in real life, unless she is literally has a title. But yeah, she is a right-wing activist, as you can tell, holding a sign saying "Stop being gay," along with someone else holding a sign that says "Recriminalize gay marriage," captioning it, of course, "Protest against child grooming." Cool. It's something. What do you guys think of this? What do you guys think of this lady? What are your thoughts, Chad? I'm curious. Pedo? Stinky? You'd rather die or get wheeled out by paramedics and put on a ventilator? Okay. I need eye bleach. There's no way this isn't a meme. Sounds like me every time you look into a mirror. Jesus. Needs a hobby. Stop be gay. My brain always shuts off when I see this shit. Yeah, it is very easy to just sort of glaze over and be like, wow, this can't be real. It's too much like parody to not be real. So let's go ahead and look at part 2 of this story. So, as you can see, by the fact that she's taking a picture smiling with Matt Gaetz, presumably well after the weird shit with him is known, it's very clear here the through line is attacking LGBT people, not protecting children. If, you're willing to team up and take a picture with and support a creep like Matt Gaetz.
Think of the children, liberals.
What? It's so demonic. It's so de-motherfucking monic, The fact that these people are willing to pedo jacket all LGBT people for existing around, like, just pretty much just existing, but especially if they exist publicly. 2 guys holding hands walking down the streets. It's like, oh, you're grooming my children into accepting the gay narrative. And it's like, we're just going to pick up the PlayStation 5. Apparently you can finally get them. That we're just going to the store. We're in this hypothetical, America has walkable cities. Oh, hey Luna, what's up? There you go. Hello. What's the matter? I don't know. Listen, when these people say that they want to fight the groomers and the pedophiles and the left and everything, I'm not saying it's always like them trying to cover up for themselves or cover up for someone else or just pedo jacket a group they don't like because they have no arguments. However, I do think it's interesting when the same person making that accusation... Cool. Okay. Well, yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. What do you think the through line is here? Is it protecting children from grooming? Or is it gay people bad? Because of course this is Matt Gaetz in Florida. Like they're there to talk about like the trans. It's yeah. So what is it? The through line is always shitting on LGBT people. Let's cut through the bullshit here and acknowledge the fact that the through line has always been to take away everything from autonomy to rights to respect to the ability to be seen of LGBT people. That has always been their goal. And if it takes calling all LGBT people pedophiles to get away with it and to make that happen, that is what they will do. They will do it to get into power, and they will use that power to take away the rights of LGBT people as much as they fucking can. And they've been doing it very successfully. A lot of queer people in Florida, especially, have been, well, they've had to deal with it arguably the hardest. In fact, I've got a Twitter thread here that I think is actually pretty related by a fan of mine, apparently, who, oh yeah, it's Euphoria Tori, yeah. This is a tweet thread that I figured it would actually be good to read on stream because it kind of talks about what it's like to be trans, and generally LGBT as well. I assume a lot of this would extend. The hatred is pretty broad. But particularly being trans and a trans woman in the South, in Florida, apparently, what it's like, and how much it sucks. So I have not read this. I did read the first tweet, but I've not read the rest of it. I just decided I would save it for on stream because I thought that, getting to hear a story like this might lend a little bit more credence to why this type of insidious, devious shit is so fucking upsetting. Being a trans woman in the South really sucks. So many communities are tied to bigoted churches, so when you come out, you have a chance of losing everyone you've ever known. That definitely sucks. If you do end up not losing family and friends, then local legislatures will make your life worse instead. So be it. Friends/family or local governments were forced out of communities and leave. I'm leaving Florida because the government here wants trans people like me dead. I have to leave all my family and friends in Florida and flee the state, and I fucking hate it. This is not like a, liberals getting mad and like saying, I'm going to move to Canada because Trump got elected. Like, there are actual policies on the books that trans people in Florida can point to and say, this is what's keeping me from getting like the treatment I need. I got to leave this state. They made this law like in the last few months, and now I can't get my like whatever, right? Like, I gotta go, I'll be moving out of Florida in the next few weeks as I've landed a new job recently, but I can't escape my mind that a genocide of trans people is happening in the South and has been for a while. We shouldn't abandon the South. There's good people here, but we're struggling. Trans people in dangerous states should try leaving if they can. Cis people in safer states or areas should help trans people flee to safety. I'm able to leave Florida because a cis woman has helped me get this far and helped me leaving. Have impact and help trans people. True. So I think it's really important to remember that, like, a lot of people on the left have this tendency to forget that just because the South is full of fellow working class Americans doesn't mean a lot of them, it still means a lot of them hold some, a lot of them do hold some pretty horrible views, and disproportionately so. For socioeconomic reasons, of course. That's, why rural areas tend to, not have the best education as compared to more, like higher income, like city areas. It's important to remember that there's a lot of people in the South that are just really fucking bad, and a lot of people in the South that are good. The problem is the bigotry in the South is so bad you could pretty much cut it with a fucking spoon. And I really don't blame any trans person or any progressive person, really, that just decides they don't want to live in Florida anymore. I moved out of Florida and I moved to California, and now I'm planning to move up to Seattle, which will probably be my final place. If I end up moving anywhere out, if I end up moving away from like Washington State, I might move to Colorado, like Denver or something. That would be like the only other place I could consider myself ever moving, unless it was out of country, unless I like visited somewhere out of country and it was just, I fell in love with it and that's where I ended up living. I don't know. But yeah, I completely get it. There's no shame in just fucking leaving. In fact, I encourage you, if you are LGBT and you are living in one of these states and you are the victim of this legislation, I encourage you to do what you can to get out. I know that it may, if all it's holding you back is emotional hangups, like, not that they aren't valid, but if what's holding you back is like, I don't want to leave my family or my friends behind, I promise you, there is no shame if you decide the best decision is to leave the state, or whatever state you're in, whether it be Florida, Georgia, fucking Mississippi, Alabama, Kentucky, Texas, fucking what was the other the one that's really been going cringe up in the Rust Belt? What's the really cringe Rust Belt state that's going super anti-trans right now? No, not Missouri. Michigan, thank you. Thank you, Petty Mantis. Michigan, thank you. I like how the person who's literally like recovering from surgery with like morphine, it, like, was faster to the correct answer than everyone else in chat. That's really funny. Based. Yeah, so with that said though, I really do think that we're seeing about as close to a genocide as you can get without starting to roll out punishments for being part of the group. So at this point, we've, like, in southern states, particularly like Florida and whatnot, they've locked down the rights of trans people to the extent that they are essentially not allowed to publicly live in like most public state-run spaces as the gender they identify with. We've made it so that the broader culture around those states is extremely hostile, and we've made it so is that a lot of them can't even access the care that they need, like if they're trans and they need like hormones or something, or they need access to like a gender clinic for like, you know, affirmation or like whatever, or like a confirmation on whether or not they have gender dysphoria, yada yada. There's a whole list of concerns as to why you don't want to live in one of these southern states if you're LGBT. And what I really worry about is the fact that we're all but at the point of punishing trans people just for being trans overtly. It is what's happening now. It is punishing trans people for being trans, but it doesn't say that on paper, which is important to the right. The right literally defended the voter ID laws that the Supreme Court determined were surgically targeting like minority communities and whatnot. They still try to claim it wasn't racist because the law didn't specifically say that it was based on race. They will literally fall back on every single time the letter of the law instead of what actually happens and how it's enforced. So in the case of this, we've got like, who was it? DeSantis called for like child abuse investigations on all the parents of trans kids in Florida. That's pretty fucked up. No access to like hormones and stuff after like, I'm pretty sure there's like a full-on ban right now, though I may be wrong about that. That might have ended. I know there's like a longer waiting period now. It keeps on compounding. It's really hard to keep up with all the news. There's just so much fucking shit. And I can't remember all the stuff that Florida's rolling out that's anti-trans policy. It's baffling. There's the cock inspection bills, like cock inspection day at the gym, like that happened. Like yeah, I don't know. Get the fuck out. Get out. If you can, get out. All right. There's absolutely no shame in it. Okay. You have no obligation as a blue voter to remain in a red state if that means sacrificing your safety and your health. Okay. And I really do believe at this point that we are on the verge of what one could consider a genocide. Is it going to be gathering trans people up and LGBT people up just broadly and putting them into camps? Or just like jailing them for being trans? I don't think it's going to be that. But we're moving in the direction right now of normalizing the erasure and the discrimination and hatred, public, overt hatred of trans people. And that is very commonly where genocides start. Will it lead to a genocide? Not if it's, not if it's like countered, not if this rhetoric is countered. And I think it will be countered effectively. I think that the LGBT community in Florida and around the world is strong enough to influence where things go here. I don't think it's going to end with the bad ending, is what I'll say. I don't think we're going to get the bad ending, but a lot of bad is going to happen. And it's going to be the work of people, for the most part, doing on-the-ground grassroots organizing that are going to do a lot of good in Florida. We covered that one lady who's like a school board elected official who was going on that really bigoted rant that she went viral for recently. And it really is just a stark reminder how fucking easy it can be in certain small communities and even somewhat medium to large communities to get elected into surprisingly influential roles, and how anybody with like a few thousand followers on Twitter is probably off to a better start to, running for local election than many of their, the people they may be running against. As I said, though, no shame in it. But if you have the ability, if you are one of those people that's just completely fine staying in one of those red states, I absolutely recommend looking into grassroots organizing. Mostly what I mean is look at your local county or town or whatever. Look at what local elections are coming up and find out what candidates, if any, more or less support your values. Chances are the guy will have like 200 followers on Twitter. You can like DM him and be like, hey, can I campaign for you? Or can I canvass for you? Is there anything I can do to help out to get your name around? Like stuff like that alone is something that you could do. Just look up my town elections upcoming. Look at the different elections, the different positions, the candidates, research them. It is a little bit of a pain in the ass, but it's actually not that hard. I feel like a lot of people think getting into that part of politics is harder than it actually really is. I'm really excited to be able to do canvassing and all that on the ground stuff whenever, one, COVID lets up a lot more, and two, I'm in Seattle and I've got my my life much more settled, and flying out to a place to do a political campaign type thing is not a earth-shattering task for me. Anyway, with all that said, if you enjoyed this segment, please consider leaving a like. I really do appreciate it. It helps the channel out whether you're watching live or after the fact when the video goes up as its own segment or as like a VOD. And of course, if you want to see more from me online, you can follow my social medias, all linked down below in the description, including Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and my fan Discord. And of course, finally, if you want to help me, raise money for my move to Seattle and you want to just financially support this content so it keeps on coming, and you've got the money for it, you can always support me financially by donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or supporting me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, or Patreon. With all that said, thank you so much for watching, and have a good one.